right, happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome, one and all. Welcome to Pondering. It's Thursday morning, the 11th of June, 2020. I'm Joel Rissinger, your host, and you have tuned into the Pondering podcast and radio program, and it is a blessing to have you. Thank you for joining us and being here. Thank you to all of you who listen via podcast on multiple venues, whether it's Spreaker or Mixcloud or any number of sources, all across the fruited plain and beyond, even across the world. We know we have some listeners in Africa. Guys, you are welcome. And we love to hear from you. As we always do, let me tell you how you can be heard. You can type right into the live stream here on the Pondering Radio page of Facebook as we broadcast live every weekday, Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you can do that. You can also call us, leave a voicemail if we're not around. That's 860-500-7163, 860-500-7163. Or you can email ponderingradio@gmail.com. And it's always a blessing to have you. Welcome to Leanne. Welcome to Linda. Welcome to anybody I missed, because I'm sure I did, because I'm old, you know. But listen, every morning I wake up, I do this. If I feel something, it's a good day. Honestly, if I didn't feel something, it'd be a good day, because I'd be in heaven with Jesus, and I wouldn't be complaining, right? Can't imagine I'll be standing at the pearly gates hanging on for dear life saying, send me back, send me back. I don't think so. No. I love you all. But, you know, most of you I'm going to see there eventually anyway, so I'd be okay. I'd be all right. I'd be good. I would be very happy. But either way, we win, right? That's the joy of Christianity. In this life, as Paul put it, I get to serve, I get to do, you know, help others. If not, then I'm with the Lord. You know, he said I'm torn, whether to depart and be with Christ, which is better, or to remain. And I think all of us are kind of betwixt and between in that regard. Good morning, Susie, and three cup of coffee day. I only got, well, this is my second one. I have my loony bin mug, and this mug has never been more apropos than now. As we live in a world in unmitigated, unrestrained insanity, the loony bin mug has become a fave, a must use, a go-to mug for sure. I was thinking this morning, and I'm sure you've all noticed this, about how all the restrictions and the ban and whatnot have affected our kids, let alone anybody else. Just thinking about kids. And when I kids, I mean anybody under 30, probably, especially kids under 18 and under. But it's just, I think we're going to see ramifications of this for years, and I hope I'm wrong about that. I'm not sure the ramifications will be good. I listened to, the reports from my wife about the children she's counseling and working with as a school psychologist. I watched that's in the news, and just a little experiment down the street. Okay, so at the end of our street, we have a park. Some of you have seen it. I've even shown you pictures from it or video from it in earlier episodes of Pondering. And in the park, of course, there are many different swings and things, and there's, basketball court. And there's been an ongoing battle since this whole thing started to keep the kids off the basketball court and out of the park. And by the way, if you want to know where I stand on the lockdown, take a look at Tucker Carlson's summary of the whole experience and some of the data that he pulls out. I posted it here on the Pondering Radio page. If you scroll down, you'll find it. Couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to talk about it, but I thought, nope, I'm just going to post it. I mean, amen, Tucker. He got it. He nailed it. But anyway, so we're trying to keep the kids out of there. So first they put up yellow tape. Well, that didn't do much. They just broke the tape. So then later they came along and they put zip ties on the net. So when you shoot a basket, it would just get stuck up there. That lasted a couple days until somebody brought bolt cutters and cut the zip ties and restored the nets. And then the kids are back to playing again. And, see, I'm a Romans 13 guy. I look at it, we're supposed to be subject to the authorities, and I believe that. But at the same time, there are certain things we we have to logically ponder and say, does this make sense? And I would recommend, so in other words, for my kids, I'd say, well, this is the law. Let's obey the law. Does it make sense? No. Should we work to change it? Yes. But this is the law, so let's do it. Okay, so I want to put that out there. I would say that to my kids in youth group, where I'm still a youth pastor, and I'd say it to my own teenagers if I had any, but they're all grown up. Okay. Having said that, I found this very humorous because there is zero evidence anywhere on the planet of people getting COVID-19 by playing basketball, of a virus being passed from a basketball from one kid to the next, or as they brush by each other, trying to score a layup or whatever. There's just nothing out there that says that that's happening. We just don't have that data. Now you might say, well, we haven't had a chance to study it enough, or we haven't this, or we haven't that. Maybe, but we've been at this for months now. I mean, all we have is anecdotal evidence. Suggests that because it's very contagious, it could be passed that way. Theoretically, it could be passed that way, but no hard evidence that it ever was or is. And even if it were, and even if the cases were severe, which most cases of COVID-19 are not, I deal with patients every day. Well, not every day, almost every day. Yesterday, I dealt with 2 of them. I had 3 visits. 2 of the 3 had been tested positive. They're all terminal patients, and all 3 of them are feeling just fine. Thank you very much. The 2 of the 3 that had it have blown right through it like a hot knife through butter. And again, according to every report and all we were told in the news, senior citizen is exceptionally vulnerable. We need to protect them. That's why kids shouldn't play basketball, because they could give it to grandma. Well, I deal with grandma every day. Grandma with terminal illnesses, comorbidities, yes, I said it right, like cancer, like COPD, like, dementia, severe dementia, whatever it is, all the above. They've got 6 months or less to live, or they wouldn't be in hospice. And guess what? They get COVID-19, and most of them go, I'm fine. They go through it, and they test negative, and some of them have double tested negative now, most of them, in the one facility I work in anyway. Okay. Now, there are exceptions to that, don't get me wrong, and I'm not making light of those. I am saying, though, that this idea that this thing is just a killer virus that wipes out everybody, and that's why kids shouldn't play basketball, because they could get it off a basketball and then bring it home to grandma, I think that's a bit of a stretch. I really do. Not just a bit. It's a major stretch, and there's no evidence of it. But even if, okay, let's just play this out. Even if it were true, that there were hundreds of cases, thousands maybe, around the world of kids playing basketball in open public parks with lots of good ventilation, nobody with symptoms playing, just, all healthy kids apparently playing basketball, that somehow they were getting it and passing it on to grandma, and grandmas were dying all over the planet because of basketball. All right, let's just say that were true. Why are we allowing these riots with thousands, shoulder to shoulder, face to face, many of them with no mask? Why haven't we broken that up with police and the army? Of course, President Trump offered that to restore order, not for the sake of protecting people from COVID-19, but because of the murders of policemen, innocent bystanders and shop owners, stores being looted, burned to the ground, etc. He said, hey, if you guys can't get this under control, governors, I can send the army and I'll do it. And everybody went, oh my gosh, why, he's a tyrant. This is terrible. Okay, well, if we really believe that kids playing basketball are going to kill grandma, why wouldn't we break that up, but also break up thousands of rioters in the street with no masks even, right? Shoulder to shoulder, face to face. Why? And what do we tell our children about that? Well, that's different. Why is it different? Well, because they have a just cause. Are we sure? Well, it's different because we don't want to cause more trouble by stopping it. Well, how much more trouble can we have than burning and murder and mayhem? I mean, does it get worse than that? I mean, exactly what are you thinking? It's really difficult to explain this to a little child, let alone a teenager or a young adult. Why are we allowing that kind of thing to go down when we don't allow kids to play basketball to stay out of trouble. It used to be we'd be thrilled. A bunch of 20-somethings, come, in my case, they're coming, most of them from New Britain, some Newington, and they're playing ball together and having a good time and being peaceful, and they're not using drugs, and they're not watching porn, and they're not, robbing, stealing, beating up somebody. We used to think that was a good thing, right? Now we think it's a bad thing, and we're trying to stop it through all different creative means, while allowing riots and protests and people to curse out the cops or worse. The world has gone insane, my friends, and we're praying that this will end soon, and it will. It will pass. I believe that. I do. I think God has more for us to do as a church, as churches. So I think that time will continue. Therefore, this has to subside. But I do think we should ponder and learn lessons from it. Good morning to Luke. Speaking of young men who are good men, I think we should ponder it. I think we should consider hypocrisy. I think we should consider duplicity. I think we should be able to evaluate our leaders and say, next election, do I want to vote for someone who, on the one hand, is showing up at a funeral or promoting and speaking, even if by video, at a funeral where 500 people are crammed together in a building, high-fiving and hugging each other when we've told churches they can't have more than 100, and we've told people not to congregate, and we've, even arrested people for gathering in parks or going to the beach in some places. Do we really want to do that? Why, and if we're doing that, if we're showing support if we're going out and taking a knee with protesters and rioters who are breaching every protocol we've been preaching and enforcing globally or nationally, I should say, do we want to vote for the person who's promoting the one behavior while condemning the other, and millions of people are out of work because of the lockdown that some of these same politicians have enforced while giving a tacit approval or even participating in riots and other breaches of COVID-19 protocol? I don't think we should. I would hope people would think that through and say, I'm not going to support that. I'm not going to vote for that. I'm not going to stand with that. But having been around the block a little bit, I suspect maybe we're not going to think that through as a nation. I don't know. I hope I'm wrong, but I think we should. Again, we need to be consistent. We need to speak the truth in love, as I said, but we need to be consistent. So those are my thoughts as I walk down the street, look at the basketball court, and think, what are they going to do next to keep the kids off this court? Guard dogs? I don't know. Barbed wire? I don't know. I had heard they were going to hire part-time monitors who were going to watch and sit out there, I guess, and watch. So when the kids came, they could shoo them away. Fine. Where are the part-time monitors, for the inner city riots? Who wants that job? Thousands are gathering, and you're going, no, COVID-19. I don't think, along with that guy or gal, last. Oh, gosh. Oh, anyway, we need to be praying for our country, but we also need to ponder and be able to speak up on things like this so that hopefully cooler minds and hearts prevail, and we're able to learn from it going forward. So those are my thoughts for the day. How you all doing? You guys good? You staying healthy, wealthy, and wise? You got to keep the faith and spread it, baby. Don't get down. This too shall pass. I was at a facility yesterday that has 0 COVID-19 now, double negative tested all their patients, and they were ravaged by it just a couple months ago. And that's great to see. I feel bad for them because of the state and now what they're going to have to go through with this new state evaluation process that they're going to put them through, and some of the other new requirements are coming up with weekly testing for all employees. I think we're going to have to go through that too. In my company, we're going to start weekly testing. At least it's rumored, and that's I get it, but the virus is winding down. And despite the best efforts of ABC, CBS, NBC, MSNBC, CNN to promote otherwise, it really is. We're on the backside of that curve, and Cases are going down, and you know, I think we're in a pretty good place. We got to keep going, but we'll be okay. But now, all of a sudden, we're going to do weekly testing. I'm not sure what that proves, if the number of cases are decreasing, but that's okay. If you've never been COVID-19 tested and you have nothing to do tonight or this afternoon, I'd recommend it. It's a lot of fun. They ram a giant Q-tip up your nose, into the back of your throat. You will see stars. Your eyes will water. You'll feel like you got to sneeze, but you can't. And it's great. But here's the thing. Okay, again, I just to point out craziness. You do weekly testing. What you know when you do a test like that, after 3 days, is whether or not you had it at the time the test was taken 2 or 3 days, 4 days earlier. That's what you know. If you didn't have it when you were tested 3 or 4 days earlier, and you've made multiple visits to multiple facilities where COVID-19 may have been an issue, you still could have it, right, by the time you get the test results to say negative. So that when you go back into the next facility 3 days later, you say, I've tested negative. Of course, you've had 3 days to get it, and you may have it now, but you don't know that. You're not showing symptoms yet, maybe ever. But you have a negative test from 3 or 4 days ago. That's all you have. A week later, you'll be tested again. Maybe then it'll show a positive. Okay. And now you're going to be quarantined for 2 weeks to see if you have any symptoms or not, because you tested positive a week earlier, almost at that point, right? Or whatever, a week later, however I just described it. Anyhow, so then you stay home for 2 weeks. Now, once you've tested positive and you've been quarantined, some places will still ask you about that, and you could end up not being allowed in. But let's say, you start going forward. Unless you test for antibodies, you really don't know your status after that. Unless, again, if you're tested every week, you'll know after the fact whether or not you had it during several visits with people. And I would recommend, I don't know if they're going to do this, I would recommend that as soon as someone tests positive, okay, they put them in quarantine, and right after that, they test for antibodies. So if the person has the antibodies, and we think that that's sufficient, they should probably not have to be tested again. Now, I guess there's still some debate out there about whether or not somebody can get it after having the antibodies. I've heard rumors that that's a question. I'm not sure why that's a question. I don't know that there's any evidence that people have caught it again, having the antibodies. Typically, the way our immune systems work is that the body develops those things to protect us such that we don't get it again. Again, I'm not clear enough on the science of that, or why we're saying that we're not sure. But, if I were tested positive, I'd want to be tested after the 14 days. I'd want to be tested for the antibodies and then know if I had them, and I would love to expect at that point I'm not going to get it again, and I'm not going to be contagious either. But, we shall see how this plays out. For now, it's just another thing to put these poor nursing homes and their staff through. We have blamed them for many deaths and the spread of COVID-19. That's certainly true in New York, but it wasn't the nursing homes who made the decision to take patients out of the hospital who had COVID-19 and then slap them into the population of a very vulnerable group of people, the elderly, some of whom had, as I mentioned, comorbid conditions and terminal illnesses. That decision was made by people like Governor Cuomo. And then he tried to pass it on and pass it off to the president or someone, always shifting, always the blame is somebody else. Once that happened, the spread of COVID-19 in nursing facilities was inevitable. And it did spread like wildfire. As I've said earlier in the show, part of the reason is because social distancing and all that stuff is virtually impossible in a nursing home if they have a population with dementia, for example, which most do. You don't get dementia patients to stay in their room unless you tie them down, which is illegal. You don't get them to wear a mask, although everybody's talking like we should and we can. Some of them will wear a mask. Most of them won't. It's like trying to put a mask on a 2-year-old. Not going to stay there, even if you did put it on. And it's not effective to try to expect them to stay in one place, wear the mask, etc., or understand why they should wear the mask. So it spreads because they spread around the facility, and the best efforts of the nursing staff and social workers and everybody else inside typically do not stop the spread of the disease once it's in there. And of course, unfortunately for many of them, it was brought in there by either people who didn't show symptoms, so they didn't know, or it was brought in there by people who had symptoms that were sent there by government mandate. And that, my friends, was beyond ridiculous. And it's especially beyond ridiculous then to blame these facilities for the spread of COVID-19. Wasn't their choice, and it wasn't their decision. There's nothing many of them could have done about it. But they've handled it well, I have to say. Nurses and staff in the homes that I serve are just incredible. And remember, they have families too. So they come home at night, right, and they have to disinfect and put their clothes, change out in the garage so they can keep those dirty clothes separate and try to keep their family from being infected. And many of them have little children and they're scared. They have to do this every single day. And they know they're going to get blamed, and they know they're going to be under scrutiny, and they know they're going to have state inspections out the wazoo now. Thank you, Governor Lamont and others. And, they're doing great. They're doing the best they can. The people doing the inspections, if we are true to form from past history, as I said yesterday, will likely be people that have never served in nursing homes. They don't have nursing degrees, and they don't, all they'll have is their clipboard with their little checklist. And I cringe. I feel so bad. These are super people. They are awesome people. They're strong. They're loving. They see their job as a calling, not just a way to collect a paycheck. Many of them, most of them. And we need to be in prayer for them because we're making their lives more difficult as if the crisis was their fault. And it's not. As I said, when are we going to hold accountable the socialist dictators who made these decisions that led to the spread of COVID in many nursing homes? When? We should be doing it at the ballot box, but we won't, very likely, in states like New York and Connecticut and, other liberal states. We just won't. So there's my thought for what it's worth. I think we need to pray for these people. I think we need to continue to speak the truth. I think we need to continue to move forward. The good news is that most of these patients are recovering fine. Many of them didn't show symptoms. And I think we're on the tail end of the curve. We really are. Places are starting to open up again. They're allowing visits for people like me to go in and pray for these folks and see them, where for a long time we weren't able to do that. There's still many places closed, but there are many that are opening, and that's good. And, while I'm scary with a big mask on and whatever, I'm probably scarier without the mask, right? I know. I know what you were thinking out there. It's better to be in there and be able to joke with them and laugh and, hold their hands with gloves on, of course, than not. And the repercussions, too, of families that have been denied visitation. Some of them have had loved ones pass away without being able to be with them or say goodbye. And then insult to injury, we've denied them a funeral because of mandated numeric restrictions. As I said yesterday, as they watch the events, the riots and the funeral for Mr. Floyd and other things on TV, they have to struggle with that. But there will be legal action. There's no question. I talked to a family yesterday. I would be shocked if they don't end up filing a suit at some point. They're very upset, very hurt. We'll see. I don't know. But I do think we need to learn from this as a nation, as people, and we need to be praying that we do learn from it and don't repeat the same mistakes twice. So those are my thoughts. Listen, guys, tomorrow is Free for All Friday. And as I say every week, you drive the bus tomorrow. No set topics, hopefully not much, if any, rambling by yours truly, no interviews. You come to the table with thoughts, verses, questions, comments, whatever it is, and I, your host, must respond on the fly. No prep, just boom, there it is. So bring it, baby. Tomorrow morning at 7:30 for Free for All Friday. In the meantime, tell your friends, neighbors, and complete strangers about Pondering. Let's invite them in to think and to consider and to talk and not be afraid. And listen, look forward to that. In the meantime, as I always tell you, stay in the Word, keep praying, and do not check your brain at the door. God gave it to you. He wants you to use it. It's really okay. It's good. And we'll see you mañana. God bless you. Bye for now.